Here comes another advancement study opportunity. Today's instruction will cover BUMED instruction 1300.2 Bravo, suitability screening, medical assignment screening, and exceptional family member program identification and enrollment. Now, as we get started for this instruction, this is geared towards the 2020 Cycle 1B for advancement exam. The purpose of this instruction, once again, is to provide policy, procedures, and responsibility for medical, dental, and educational suitability screening, medical assignment screening, exceptional family member program identifications and enrollment. Should be able to address determination of suitability of Navy and Marine Corps service member. Should be able to support readiness by assuring service member can execute military duties with their assignment. So this program is not to disqualify people, it's to identify individuals that are available to deploy or ready to deploy. And if they are not ready to deploy based on their medical background, what will end up happening is they can seek other alternatives. What it will be to go for medical treatment to identify some medical issues going on, or with a family member, just to ensure that they can deploy overseas without any problem. As the suitability screening procedure, uh, they are normally used to determine suitability of Navy and Marine Corps service members and their family members in receipt of orders or an overseas screening notification to overseas or remote duty assignment by identifying special medical, dental, and educational requirements. From now on, referred to as the special medical and, of course, the education needs, which is just the same thing that covers under the EFMP. This program also determines suitability uh, of family members too as well when you're looking at chapter 15 of the defined reference that we'll be covering here shortly. Identify family members who are eligible for EFMP enrollment, which there are other things that normally qualify family members for EFMP category. And once they are placed in that category, what will happen is that it allows uh, the service member to receive operational orders into locations where they can still provide care for their family and still be able to execute the need of the mission too as well. Now, this program, other things that you see is trying to understand the responsibility of those that are involved within it. Um, Normally for suitability screening is normally the responsibility of the parent command, the command that actually holding that service member currently. The parent command recommends suitability determination. Once the service member receives their order, they will be screened within 30 days of receiving the orders to transfer. Or sometimes if they don't get the orders, it will be OSN. Once they have that OSN initiated, that means it's 30 days from that day. Their family members, on the other hand, are a little bit different because family member will not be screened. They will be screened, but they have a little bit of time. They have 60 days to do their screening. The forms that will be required for a family member will be the NAVMED 1300/1. Suitability and unsuitability will be documented on the NAPERS 1300/16. Once the suitability screening has been initiated, they have gone through the process. If that individual, whether it's a service member or the family member, is deemed suitable, it will be documented on the NAPERS 1300/16. If they are deemed unsuitable, it will still be documented on the same form, 1300/16. Now, other form that you see is the NAPERS 1300/26. That will be report of suitability for overseas. Report of suitability for overseas. Just one simple correction here. The suitability and unsuitability will be documented on the NAPERS 1300/16. That form is accurate. However, the NAPERS 1300/26 It's actually NAPRS 130016. That form will be considered a report of suitability for overseas. So it's not a 2.6, it's a 1.6. So service member receive order. They receive their orders. There will be their screening will be initiated within 30 days of receipt of orders. Fellow members will take 60 days, and forms included will be NAVMED 1300/1. Suitability and unsuitability will be documented on the NAPRS 1300/16, and that form is considered a report of suitability for overseas. Now, the mandatory treatment facility must inform NAPRS COM of PERS 40 for enlisted. There are two different routes this can go. So for enlisted, all enlisted communications when it comes down to suitability screening should be communicated with NAPRS COM or PERS 40. And then for the officers, it will be PERS 454 for the unsuitable status of the service member or the respective service member. Family members who will be referred to EFMP because of some unsuitability status to recommend enrollment in EFMP. EFMP coordinator for special needs. The forms that will be required for the enrollment will be the DD form 2792 tag 1. 2792 tag 1. That's the form that will be needed for EFMP enrollment. The commanding officer, the officer in charge, and medical department, they must do other things. They must dedicate. They should have the authority to dedicate some of these things. So you have the XO, OIC, or the director for admin. They are not authorized on the NAPRS 1300/16. Now, a buyer direction must be in writing to the to other people not lower than the department head. So the department head can actually sign the suitability screening, but again, there should be a bi-directional authority for them to do so. The suitability screening coordinator, once they become appointed by the commanding officer in the command, there must be at least an E6, and they should have at least 2 years left on board, or at least within 2 years time before they can leave. And what that does is it allows continuity of the process to continue on without any type of abrupt interruption. EFMP coordinator, on the other hand, must be at E5 or above. Or sometimes we can have a surveilling equivalent that have to meet the same requirement. They should have at least 2 years left on board before they can take over that spot. Now, either one of these two individuals, whether it's the suitability screening coordinator or the EFMP coordinator, before they get into their respective positions, they will have to conduct or they have to attend training for that respective role. The Tri-Care Area Office is also responsible for providing recommendations to the Guinea Suitability Screening Coordinator at the Guinea Command. Now, one of the things that will happen is that reports must be provided in writing to any response within 7 working days from receipt of the inquiry. If they need to inquire what's the status of the suitability is, or whether they are enrolled in EFMP and what category all those things are. If the receiving command send a request in that needs a response, that response has to be submitted or provided within 7 working days from the day it was received. Now, there are some consideration to the EFMP policy when it comes down to suitability screening, and that goes on to remote duty assignments. Some of these remote duty assignments are located within the United States, and if they are, they sometimes require suitability screening. On the next slide, moving forward, we'll take a look at it and see if we can identify some of those suitabilities for you to be able to see some of those remote duty. Destination based on non-availability of frequently used healthcare within a reasonable travel time. And the reasonable travel time that they're looking at, I think my Interstate 95 icon had covered. The reasonable travel time they are considering is at least no more than 2 hours for one way, leaving from the MTF. So if you are within that distance, then that will be considered a remote duty assignment, and other accommodations have to be made for that. These are some of the remote duty assignments that we're looking at. You have Alaska, Florida, Hawaii, Nevada, West Virginia, California. Now, it's not the entire states. These are specific areas in those states that has to be considered as a remote duty assignment. Suitability screening coordinator are normally designated by the MTS commander, which would be the CO, and their responsibility is to coordinate suitability screening process. These individuals are normally E6 or above, and they need to have at least 2 years on board. It will performs paperwork review, preliminary screening, refers to the MTF healthcare providers for medical and dental screening. You should be able to forward all suitability inquiry to the Guinea command or the Guinea MTF. Now understand that any inquiry that goes back and forth, response has to be done within 7 working days. These individuals or the coordinator will also provide recommendations to the transferring command, as in a soldier so and so, a service member say and say happens to have XYZ. We're recommending that this person, if they come into your command, have to be enrolled in these programs to help finalize their suitability process. That could be an example. And this has to be done as required. The coordinates with NAPERS, PSD, HRO, the coordinate with all those other different agencies just to make sure information is sent out correctly. Now, if the screening process goes on and there's a special needs that have been identified, the SSC will forward that suitability inquiry to the Guinea Military Treatment Facility. Now, that Guinea Military Treatment Facility will access local resources and reply to the screening MTF or the parent MTF within 7 days. What normally happens is this. John Doe received orders to go overseas. Overseas screening will be initiated, and if there was something that was identified to be a special need for John Doe's family member, the Guinea command will be notified and say, hey, do you have such and such resources available in your area for this service member to come? That Guinea command will then respond within 7 working days and say, yes, I do have the resource I can accommodate, or no, I don't have the resource. That service member will have to be relocated to a different command for their operation duty. Now, the MTF, the Military Treatment Facility, the CO or the OIC will provide recommendation to the transferring command on the NAPERS 1300/16, part 2 of it. And that will be the other part for the evaluation. The transferring command makes the suitability determination on the on part 1. So they're going back and forth. Once that information has gone back and forth between those two commands, that 30 days clock actually ends. And all these things has to be done within 30 days so they can identify the needs of that staff member and the family member to see if they are not suitable or they happen to have some type of special needs that the Guinea command can say, yes, I can support, or no, I can't. And if the Guinea command can support it, the releasing command or the parent command will then send that information and then they can close it out within that 30 days period. Now on here, these are some of the most frequently used forms that you will see when initiating a suitability screening. You have the NAVMED 1300/2 that covers the medical, dental, and educational checklist and worksheet. You have the NAVMED 1300/1 medical, dental, and educational screening for service and family members. You have this link 16 report of suitability for overseas screening or overseas assignment is one of the forms that will be provided to us as well. And you also have the NAPERS 1300/28. That's an overseas screening deficiency report and early return request. The DD 2792, that's a family member medical summary. That's when now they have to do the determination to see if that family member will have to be recommended for enrollment into EFMP or not. The parent command will ensure some of these things, will ensure that the member is referred to an MTF for medical assignment screening. This is the command that actually holds the member. The member that have orders to go to a different command. Their parent command will make sure to go to get a screening done. That has to be done within 30 days. The member completes the medical assignment screening forms, the 1300/6, 3, and it has to be done no later than 15 days after meeting one of the qualifying conditions. The result of the completed medical assignment screening form will be forwarded and coordinated with NAPERS COM to then take a look and see, okay, well, what can we do moving forward? If part one is done, they have to fill up part two and then do all of those things. But the timeline is still the same. We still have the 30 days of working out. But the member have to fill their form out and send it way before the 15th. So at least they can understand what they're working with within 15 days. And then everyone happens to have their own personal responsibility to contribute to this medical assignment screening MTF responsibility. So the MTF that doing the screening, which is the parent command, you have the mandatory physician, the nurse practitioner, the physician assistant, or even the IDC or the independent duty corpsman that will be conducting the medical assignment screening. These are their responsibility at the parent command. They will ensure that there's a completed NAVMAP 1300/3 medical assignment screening and support all the yes answers with thorough and specific information to include the reason or the diagnosis for any medical evaluation boards, the ICD-9 code, the PB findings, if there's anything applicable to that, the limiting conditions or prognosis timeline for improvement, and other pertinent information. Now, all of this information will be reviewed. Patient record will be reviewed, and pertinent information regarding the service member medical conditions and limitations will be evaluated. And that evaluation partner will determine whether the service member can continue on with their process and finish up the treatment at the gaining command, or if that individual service member have to be sent over to a medical review board so they can identify some of the deficiencies and see what they can do for that service member. Upon completion of this medical assignment screening, there are two things that will come out of it. Those two things are the service member will either be worldwide assignable without any limitations, or they'll be able to be assigned with limitations. And those are the limitations. Now that further investigation will be required to understand what those limitations are. Can the person receive those medical treatment at the next duty station, or would it be feasible for that person to stay at a current duty station and get those treatment, or would they just provide treatment for the person and have the person separated from the military? Those are the decisions that will be made during that time. And then we'll have our pregnancy individual, our pregnant service member. There'll be a pregnancy screening that will be done. It is recommended for female of reproductive age. If you still have all your reproductive organs intact, there is no surgical intervention for tubal ligations or anything like that, yes, a pregnancy screening will be done on females. Pregnancy screening for mom and child, 8 week post delivery, the primary care manager can sign if the child is not receiving EIS. Now, the service woman who suspects pregnancy must obtain confirmation and notify their commanding officer, the officer in charge, within 2 weeks of the pregnancy confirmation. So by you knowing that you're pregnant is one thing. You can go do your regular test over the counter thing and know, okay, you're pregnant, all right, that's good. But now to get confirmation or to make that legal, or to have that to be set for in your deployability status, you definitely have to go back and see a PCN and actually do a pregnancy test in the hospital, whether it will be a urine sample or if it will be a laboratory blood test to confirm that. Once you know in writing that you are pregnant, that information have to be communicated through the chain of command up to the CO. Service women detaching no more than 30 days will have pregnancy tests administered. Again, this is one of the important things here. They are detaching no more than 30 days. They will have a pregnancy test administered just to make sure that the gaining command is not going to get an individual and having to go through some other things, because you have to be fit for duty in order for you to deploy or in order for you to execute your orders. If you're not fit for duty, they'll have to hold you until you become fit for duty. Your parent command will retain you until you become fit for duty. Immunization, on the other hand, family members declining immunization, it does occur, but if this happens, it must be documented on the NAPRAS 1300/1. Now, once it's documented on there, the only person that can recommend unsuitable status for individuals that refusing vaccination is a flag officer at BUMED. In regards to immunization, and findings must be returned within 7 working days to the gaining SSC. So the Guinea command have to be notified that, hey, this service member refused to get a vaccination, and because of that, a flag officer who's authorized to write unsuitable in that can then make that recommendations in that as unsuitable, and they have to notify the Guinea command within 7 days that that service member will not be joining their new command. Now, for the EFMP, there are other criteria for family members to be enrolled in it. In order for people to be enrolled in EFMP or to have that EFMP category, there has to be some type of life-threatening or chronic physical conditions. It can either be current or chronic mental health conditions that lasting 6 months or longer, intense outpatient service within 5 years, requires adapted equipment, environmental, agitatorial conditions, special educational needs for an infant toddler with developmental disability, normally runs from birth up to 36 months, or even a preschool or school-age child with educational disability that will go from 3 to 22 to the 22nd birthday. Any family members with temporary conditions requiring specialized care more than 6 months but less than a year will be considered a candidate or considered to be enrolled in the EFMP program. Now, based on their conditions and category, based on their conditions and doctor's recommendation, the program now will then be stacked. What will be category 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and we can go from there based on that category. But that concludes this lesson for EFMP. If you happen to have any questions, again, it'll be those of you that are already online in class can listen to me, can ask those questions. I can answer it for you. Those of you that are not, you can definitely shoot me in a comment in the YouTube post or on the YouTube post, and I'll be able to address some of those comments or questions for you. This instruction was suitability screening, medical assessment screening, and exceptional family member program identifications and enrollment. That's outlined in BUMED instruction 1300.2 Bravo. That's all I have for you for now, but if you have any questions or comments, I will take those questions. Just fire it away, or you can type it in for those that will be watching this later on. Other things I like to do too as well is to ask a couple of questions to see what you will be able to get from the lesson we just discussed. Based on the summary of requirements for medical, dental, and educational suitability screening, what is the recommendation for adult family members and children in regards to HIV screening? Now, the thing about HIV screening is that it is recommended, but it's not required for them to be screened. It's a recommendation. What is the required form for an exceptional family member program enrollment? That required form is the DD Form 2792. Whose responsibility is it to conduct medical, dental, and educational screening? The responsible party is the screening MTF or the parent MTF that can do the dental screening and of course the medical screening. What does the 60 days time frame begin? When does it begin? This time frame normally begins when the service member receives their orders. The 30 days is for the service member and the 60 days is for their family members. Once their OSN is received, that's when it begins. The commanding officer of the transferring command or unit has overall responsibility for the suitability screening process, ensuring each service member is screened within blank days of receipt of transfer orders, something we just talked about. The service member themselves will be 30 days and the family member will be 60 days. What is the form? NAPERS 1300/16. That form is report of suitability for overseas assignment. NAPERS 1300/16 is a report of suitability for overseas assignment. The medical assignment screener or MAS report the process must be completed not later than blank days after numbers meet one of the That's a little bit of spelling error in there. The medical assignment screening report the process must be completed not later than blank days after the members meet one of the conditions described in paragraph 2A of this enclosure. Now, normally that'll be on 15 days. It has to be completed no later than 15 days. What is the recommended minimum term for suitability screening coordinator? This question actually addressing both. The E6 will be the suitability screening coordinator and the EFMP coordinator. Both of them needs to have at least 2 years left on board in order for them to take that position, and they need to have their initial training before taking on that responsibility. Again, thank you all. I just identify what in the entire slide I was able to identify two misplaced letter. As you can see right here, this is not numbered. This should be members. But I will take care of that here in a minute. But other than that, thank you very much. I appreciate you listening. Thank you.